Welcome back to the Las Vegas Convention Center. U.S. Open, the men's singles. Got a real treat on hand here. Kanak going to take on Zhang here. And got an opportunity to look back at last year's Nationals for Kanak, which he took in rather impressive fashion right in the same city of Las Vegas.
And a very impressive tournament it was as well. I remember being there, and Kanak was really under the gun against Fang Yijun, down 9-4 in the 7th game before winning almost unbelievable 7 points in a row to claim his first national championship, something, of course, which he capitalized on this year again in Las Vegas to win back-to-back national titles.
You know, it's something we saw out of Kanak is he has that ability. He was down against Nikhil Kumar yesterday in the Olympic event and was able to battle his way back in that one as well. It's something that I think from a table tennis perspective is one of the underrated values, is to find yourself behind in a match and mentally be able to stay strong, because when you see the people's shoulders drop, it all of a sudden it's almost like, even though there could be 2-3 games left, almost like it's over at that point.
Well, I mean, his qualification for the Rio Olympic Games was somewhat of a fairy tale in that respect. He was down again in the deciding set against I think it was Pierre-Luc Thériault from Canada, and I think won maybe 9 points in a row to qualify not just himself, but to qualify a men's team for the USA for the Olympics. So, yeah, a lot of experience at coming back from behind for Kanak, but no doubt this match he'll be looking to get ahead as quickly as he can.
He is ahead after a fault serve to start off for Zhang.
Now, he's going to have to be a little bit careful here. Zhang has been around the East Coast for quite some time now. I know he's been attending school recently for quite some time now. I think he's in college. But he's been playing table tennis around the Westchester Table Tennis Club area, and has won a considerable number of tournaments out on the East Coast, and has been ranked around 2,700. So similar ratings for these two players, but a lot of potential from Zhang to be very dangerous on attack.
2-2 in the early going here.
Of course, Kanak yesterday qualifying for the Youth Olympic Games. Really, really stunning achievement for him. And also, for a player who's just turned 17, to add that to your list, I mean, this kid has played now an Olympic Games. He's going to play a Youth Olympics. He's played a World Juniors, a World Cadet, a World Senior Table Tennis Championships, and a Men's World Cup. Well, 2 Men's World Cups. So he's played in everything that he can possibly play in so far in his career.
Despite being just 17 years old, he's now playing full-time as well. We talked about yesterday coming back from Grenzau, Germany, where he's been training full-time, and it really is a commitment to the sport and a lifestyle, and you can tell he's every time I've seen him, he's in tremendous condition, very agile player, and I think we saw it on that point. He jumped up into the table and made that play.
Nice wide movement there from Kanak.
It's interesting, a couple decisions there made by Zhang. He looked like he was in a position to take an aggressive posture, and he clearly elected to just get the ball back on the table a couple of times, and Ja was patient on the other side.
Yeah, really looking for placement, and it's one thing that you'll see from Kai Zhang a lot. I know he was the under 2700 champion at last year's US Open, beat Nikhil Kumar in the final. He has a good balance of consistent play and explosive attacking. So when he's not in position to make those powerful shots, he'll always look for the placement and then readjust and try and give himself a chance at attacking the next ball.
Now Ja up 6-4 with the serve here in game one. Oh, he's attacked on short balls very well in the early going here, Matt. It's twice that he's been able to step up into the table and take an aggressive posture and force Zhang off the table and hit winners both times.
And some really great, powerful plays from Kai Zhang. Started off with two really blistering backhands. Kanak Ja still maintaining his balance, but got caught a couple of times in the body and then finally down that forehand line.
Oh, beautiful forehand loop that time by Ja, right to the elbow of Kai Zhang. Difficulty handling that. The two young kids here who have excellent rallying capabilities in Ja and Zhang. That time a little bit over anxious was Zhang and hit it long, and it's now 9-5 favoring Kanak Ja. Now, game point, game one, 5 of them for Kanak Ja with the serve on the first one.
So here's some interesting supplementary information for you from last year's 2016 US Open. Just as Kanak takes game one, 11-5, actually, Kanak played Kai Zhang in the men's singles elimination round, and he won a very tight 4-3 match against Kai. That was in last year's US Open. But Kai actually beat him in the under 21 men's singles knockout and beat him 4-1. So they played on 2 occasions at last year's US Open and took 1 match each. But in the slightly more important main event, the men's singles, it was Kanak Ja who won that match. And he's off to a flyer here, 11-5 the first game.
You know, you look at 11-5 and you think, boy, that was a dominant first game for Kanak Ja, but it really didn't feel like that. I thought that Zhang actually hit a lot of very high quality answers to the shots hit by Ja, but I think that speaks to how sharp Kanak Ja was in that first game.
Yeah, and at the level of the players that he's training with, he'll be training against players who can hit with that much power on a daily basis. So he does do a great job, and he's always been a player who maintains very good control close to the table, even when he's playing defensively. He's got good, quick hands to react and does a good job of blocking on a lot of occasions.
Oh, what an attack on the return of service by Kanak Ja. Stepped up into the table and smashed a forehand down the forehand side of Zhang to start off 1-0.
Good control there from Kanak Ja. Confident, but very well composed.
Oh, great return that time by Zhang. Ja stepped up with another one of those quick pick forehand drives, and Zhang was right there waiting on it.
That's a great example of anticipation and reflexes. It's very, very difficult to hit that jumping forehand flip down the line. And I think as soon as Zhang saw Kanak preparing for that shot, he knew exactly where to get his racket.
Difficult serve to handle, but Zhang did a good job of it. And ultimately, it's Ja who hits it in the net. Now we're 2-2 here in game 2. Kanak Ja up 1-0. Good inside-out backhand that time by Zhang off the 2 short balls, and then he was able to swipe that one down the forehand side, well behind Ja.
You can see on the sideline, both of Kanak's parents are here. His father sitting just off the corner of the playing area.
And I'll note that word must have got out that Kanak Ja is playing on court 1 because it started. People are starting to file from the Las Vegas Convention Center into the seats around this particular table. And they're going to get a treat because I think not only Kanak Ja playing well, but so is his opponent thus far, Kai Zhang, who leads here in game 2 by a score of 4-2. The serve shifting over to Kanak Ja. Also note that the local news channels here, NBC News in Las Vegas, which goes to show you some of the media star power that young Kanak Ja has.
Well, he was certainly last year a player to generate headlines, being the youngest Olympic table tennis player in history and also the first Olympic athlete born in the millennium to be a part of the U.S. Olympic team. So he's had his fair share of time in the spotlight across last year and still continues to be a really good role model for young athletes across many different sports.
But I can tell you, Kai Zhang is not going down lightly in this one. He leads 5-2 in game 2. Error by Ja makes it 7-2 here in game 2. So Kai Zhang, who was handily defeated in game 1, has kind of turned the tide in his favor. Great counter backhand inside out that time by Zhang down the forehand side in a wide open area of the table. Kanak Ja looking for an answer here.
A little bit over aggressive there. You just see Kai signaling himself to just take it a little bit easier. You don't want to do too much on the serve receive. It's not usually a ball that you want to come in and try and win straight away. And he softens up a lot, just taps the net there, and a 9-3 lead in the second game for Kai Zhang.
Ja with point generated off the serve that time. Staves off 1 game point here in game 2. So now tries it again. Down 4-10. And that one creeped right along the top of the tape and fell on the side of Kai Zhang. So now 5-10 with Ja still serving. And game 2 goes to Zhang by a final of 11-5, and that gives us an opportunity to learn something about table tennis here as Kanak teaches us something about the backhand counter loop.
Hi, I am 2016 Olympian Kanak, and today I'm going to show you the backhand counter loop. The backhand counter loop is a very useful shot to get back into a rally, especially when you're in a defense away from the table. It is an offensive shot that can bring you from the defense to the offense in the rally.
For more information, please visit usatt.org.
It's a very important shot there, Matt Hetherington, to have the backhand counter loop. And Kanak, he really does execute that shot as effectively as any young player that my time is limited around table tennis, but he's very good at that shot.
I think there were a few people on Table 1 earlier today who might even benefit from watching that video themselves. It's definitely a very useful shot, and in table tennis on a lot of occasions, people are always looking to push their opposition back into that backhand corner. So to be able to counterattack from that corner with the backhand is a very, very useful skill. So great advice there from Kanak and a good demonstration. And let's see if he can come out strong here in game 3.
And his opponent, Zhang, starts off well again. Takes a 1-0 lead here in game 3. Games are tied 1 apiece here at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Round of 32. Men's singles 2017 U.S. Open. And Zhang is on his game right now. Kanak hits that one in the net. Now down 2-0. The serve shifts over to him, but Zhang has not missed very much in the last, well, about 18 points.
A little bit too far back there, Zhang.
Good direction that time by Kanak. Deep to the forehand side and trying to reach out there. It shows the athleticism of Zhang because he was able to get on the ball, but it was a difficult shot to make. Did get it back towards the table, but too long.
A little bit ambitious with that forehand flip shot. Bold move, very decisive.
He's had success with that shot in this match, but not on that one.
And a big backhand counter loop there from Zhang.
Maybe Zhang was watching that video in between games 2 and 3.
Yeah, Kanak is going to have to be careful. As I said at the start of the match, Zhang from the New York City area, Westchester Table Tennis Club, a powerhouse of table tennis in that region of the country, is a very explosive player. Not just on attack, but also on counter-attack. And you can see how he deals with Kanak offensive plays and just catapults the ball right back.
He is not back down at all. Now leads 5-2 here in game 3. Games are tied 1 apiece, and trying to get the legs loosened up and some positive momentum going here. Now 6-3 Zhang after that ball goes off the top of the net and out. Oh, and a false serve by Zhang, something we saw in the first game as well. It's the second one of the match, and now 4-6, the serve comes over to Kanak.
And a great step out from that short exchange between the two players. Zhang taking some initiative and then following up. Just sometimes he'll be in a close table rally and he just takes half a step backwards and then pushes all that weight back into the ball. Makes him a very dangerous player to play against in a rally.
Oh, good point. It was a great return of service that time by Zhang because he shifted at the last moment. It's almost as if he knew that Kanak was going to serve in a way that we hadn't seen much of in this game, towards the forehand side.
Nice serve and third ball there from Zhang.
Now up 8-5 here in game 3.
Great pickup there from Kanak against the half-long serve. We've seen on a few occasions, it's almost like he's going fishing. Zhang just sends that serve a little bit over the end of the table and then sits there waiting to see if Kanak will make that slow opening. And there it is again. This time half long again off the side of the table. Gets that softer opening. That's 2 counter loops that he's missed out on now. You can see the intent and the strategy that he's putting into the game here. But Kanak has done a really good job in the last 2 in particular of managing to keep that ball low to the net and let the ball dip so that Zhang can't counter-attack so easily. Big forehand counter there. Did a superb job of adjusting his upper body position to accommodate for the fact that his feet were a little out of position. Really twisted into the ball there. And 2 serves and a 9-7 lead here for Zhang in the third game of this round of 32 singles match.
Now game point for Zhang in game 3. And it's a triple game point. And he's got the serve as well, so an important moment here for Zhang. And he wins it on the first game point for game 3. Good job. He drove that ball right back into the body of Kanak and almost impossible to handle. You can see Zhang move the upper body hard to his left, trying to get himself in a position to make that return, but practically impossible.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of skill at play here and a really, really wide range of variance coming from Zhang, especially in the rallies. It's not your stock standard kind of start off slow and build up faster, or stay at the same pace. There's a lot of fast, slow from Zhang. And at the same time, sometimes the ball's going deeper, sometimes it's going shallower. And then there's changes in spin and speed and also in placement to the left and right. So there's a lot going on in the rallies. And I don't think Kanak has really been able to find comfort yet. And that's really what Zhang is aiming to do. He's really disrupting Kanak, who's usually a very consistent player, but more so when he's playing against somebody who's kind of stable and steady and consistent, or if they're attacking fast and attacking everything fast. So a lot of tactical thought going into this from Kai Zhang, and it's been very successful for him.
Just from a body language standpoint, Kai Zhang looks very relaxed. He looks very loose and doesn't look like he's put any pressure on himself, and it seemed to have worked to his advantage. His shots have been extremely accurate the last couple of games. He goes long on that one. Good rally between the two young men. Oh, beautiful forehand loop. Had tremendous spin from Kanak going for him right to left onto the forehand side, and was out of the reach of Kai Zhang.
Great pickup there from Kanak. A little early off the bounce against the long serve.
Now up 3-0 here in game 4, down 2-1 to the youngster from New York. Push off the serve that time by Kanak. Put it onto the backhand side of Kai Zhang, and now Ja has opened up a 4-0 lead on Kai Zhang here in game 4 with the serve. We don't want to let him off the hook here, Matt.
And doesn't quite get his body position in close enough to that ball. It's a great setup for him, but first point for Kai Zhang.
And a good point for Kai Zhang there. Onto the corner, the forehand side for Kanak. Is right on the edge of the table with pace.
Does an exceptional job, and you can just see in that replay and on a couple of occasions throughout this match of being able to generate a lot of hand speed when his body's not in sync with his stroke, especially when he gets caught a little closer to the body.
Good rally. It's won by Zhang. It's an interesting serve that he elected to use that time. It's almost like the tomahawk style where he's chopping straight down on the ball.
It's quite a common serve for attacking players to use. Called the hook serve, interestingly enough.
A lot of it again right there.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it's most commonly topspin variation. So they're looking for their opponent to flip the ball and then make the first initiation and then follow up with a counter. Of course, the players out there who are a little more skilled, who can also make backspin variation, have a lot more success using it. And another follow-up opportunity just missed there by Kanak.
You can tell he felt like he had that backhand counter loop on that play, but just hit it long. Now drawing within one is Kai Zhang here in a very important game 4. Kanak down 2-1, leading here in the 4th game 6-5, but the serve to Kai Zhang.
Big missed opportunity there from Kai Zhang. A chance to level this game up.
Well, you can tell he's not happy about missing that one. That was an easy step up. He was right there. His body was well positioned. Everything was in place except the strike.
Yeah, you could see in that close-up replay from the table camera, his arm was slightly overextended there. And some handy footwork there from Kai Zhang.
He draws back within one. 7-6, Ja with the serve.
And it is all tied up here. 7-7 now.
Kai Zhang's done a good job of battling himself back in after a 5-0 deficit.
That valuable early lead for Kanak Ja.
All gone.
And good composure and control from Kanak Ja. Recognizes very well when the best time is to play a little bit softer and when the best time is to attack. You could see very strong change in placement there, which helped him finish the point with Kai back from the table on his backhand side.
Short ball that time, and ultimately trying to step around on the left side of the table was Kai Zhang, but he hit it long, and that puts Ja in a nice position here. Leading 9-7 with a couple of serves, and you can see it in his eyes right here.
And well placed from Kanak Ja. Comes in and sends that forehand flip out onto the opposite corner. That gives him 3 game points here to level the match at 2-2.
One of them with the serve right here. He'd know he'd like to end it off this ball. And he chose a serve that we haven't seen from him yet, wide to the backhand side. And Jai, who's very good, he's able to, Kai Zhang is very good footwork-wise. He was able to get out to the wide side of the table, and I didn't hit the ball well, but one of the elements I was very impressed with watching Zhang from behind in that Game 4, Matt Hetherington, was how active he is in getting ready for every shot. It's almost like in tennis you'll see players almost leaping up into the air, kind of timing the shots that they have to hit to almost keep their legs very fluid and loose and on their toes. And I think Zhang does an excellent job of that.
Yeah, and it's one of the attributes that he has that really helps feed the amount of skill that he has in his game. And I said it in the last match between Ji Wei Shu, also a player who has good footwork, and that really gives them the ability to get in position and put full weight transfer into each shot. And players who are a little bit slower usually don't have time to push all of the body weight through their leg and core, whereas the players with fast footwork, and that's why so many Chinese players, really athletic Chinese players, have such powerful games, is that they're able to get in perfect position so ahead of time, just through anticipation and physique, that they can play really some just devastatingly powerful shots.
All right, we're 2-2 after 4 games. Just what you'd expect out of these two youngsters. Two exceptional young table tennis players from the United States of America.
Hi, I am U.S. Olympian Kanak Ja, and you're watching USA Table Tennis.
Love USA Table Tennis. Two youngsters who are both excellent representatives of this country.
And a very smart play there from Kanak Zhang. We've seen over the last year or 2 years more of that kind of intelligent play and more mature play from Kanak Zhang. Not to just kind of lose it and go crazy and try and hit as hard as he can. He knows when he pushes his opposition back from the table, sometimes playing slower will help him finish the point without really playing with more risk.
It's a great point, Matt, because I think he felt that Kai Zhang was never going to be able to get back to the table. He was just so far back on that one.
And Kanak Zhang takes the first 3 points here in game 5.
One of our star cameramen tracking the ball down there. Very agile, these cameramen. Now, Ja, as he did in game 4, has opened up a good early lead here in game 5. He let the one in game 4 kind of slip away a bit. We'll see what happens here in a pivotal game 5.
And a good initiative off the serve return.
Yeah, I think
Flips
Kai
out.
Zhang kind of regrets that serve right there because
Yeah,
Ja
he
was
just
able to
got-
step up on it easily.
Yeah, and he flipped it right out into the corner, which was great placement. And Kai managed to get over there, but the ball was already behind him.
Only 6-point lead here for Kanak Zhang. You wonder whether Kai Zhang thinks about the timeout. He's obviously got, at 6 points, you're allowed to towel off. There's a little bit of a break, but not going to use the timeout right now.
Yeah, I think it gets to a crucial part of the game where I think unless he can claw back a couple of points in this game, he's not as likely to use the timeout. If he gets to 7 or 8-0, he'll be probably thinking ahead as to whether he might need that timeout in the next game, which could be closer. But if he can win, say, 3 or 4 points here and it gets close and he needs that timeout later, it's possible he would call it. And he'll take 2.
Yeah, claws a couple back right there. Clause 3 actually now. You know, Matt, you talk about that Westchester Table Tennis Club and how important it is to table tennis here in America. We've got some great clubs in this country. That's certainly one of them, producing a lot of top-flight talent.
And now 4 points.
Feast and famine here for these two guys. And I think it's going to be Kanak Zhang who goes to the timeout. Stefan Feth, his coach. It's an interesting decision. You're up 6-0, feeling like, all right, we're in strong control of a very important game 5. You're in the opposition. I'm thinking, okay, he's got to call timeout at 6-0. He doesn't call timeout. He runs off 4 points for Kai Zhang, and it's the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the last set, Kanak had the lead, and it got kind of risky for him when it came back to 7-7 and the match got really close. He wasn't able to capitalize off that lead, and Stefan Feth will not want Kanak to make that mistake again, whether it's tactical or whether he's just settling him a little bit. I'm sure he'll give him some comfort and some advice in both areas, but you have to recognize that they're fairly even players. There is a distinct possibility for either of these players to come out on top. And to have a 6-0 lead, he needs to win this set off that. It's a lot of mental weight to be this close in the match at 2-2 and to have such a great start in the game and to lose it. I think it's a big mental advantage if Kanak Zhang can come through and win this game. And
Starts off well.
Great start, yeah. These first couple of points after the timeout will be very important.
Great
And
point by Kanak.
yeah, again, another very intelligent combination of not just shots, but also from the serve. Went for the long serve to the backhand, not the classic long and fast serve you would expect, but that long, slower backspin serve. Played soft on the first opening as Zhang went back and then finished it off inside out down the line.
That one dies off the top of the net, so a break for Ja. And goes up now 9-4 with Kai Zhang serving. Oh, into the body, beautifully positioned by Kanak Ja, right up in the elbow, and nothing that Kai Zhang to do on that. So now it has been Kanak Ja's turn to run off 4 consecutive. He's got game points, 6 of them here in game 5. And he takes it on the first one, so Kanak Ja, timeout seemed to be relatively timely for him as he allowed Kai Zhang back into that 5th game, but then held him off, running off what would be 5 consecutive points from 6-4 to 11-4 to take that pivotal game 5.
Yeah, Stefan Feth will be very happy with how that played out. It was a well-timed timeout, and managed to catch it just before it became a significant pressure problem at 6-4, and then allow Kanak to continue on with his dominant display in game 5. I think he combined a lot of fast and slow plays, so he's kind of coming back on Kai Zhang with a similar strategy now of playing at different paces as well as moving Kai in and out from the table. We've seen him push Kai back a lot and then play soft to bring him back in. So that added grouping of dimensions that Kai Zhang has been playing with is now also being adopted by Kanak Ja. And once you have that range and that variation, a lot of different opportunities come out of each point. So 3-2 now, Kanak Ja taking the lead. Last time these two played on this court at the US Open last year, it went the full 7 games. Kanak Ja will be looking to seal this out as quickly as he can. He won't want to go to 7. This would be a dangerous situation.
Nice short serve that time by John. Stepping to the table was Kai Zhang, but he got the paddle underneath the ball and way too much air on it, floated it over the end, and now a 2-0 lead in game 6 here, with Ja leading 3-2. Oh, great combination. Short, and then as soon as Ja realized he could step back and throw the hard loop at Kai Zhang, he did it, and now we'll see the timeout, just as you suggested in the last game, Matt, that save the timeout for when you really need it, and right now might be a moment you really need it.
Yeah, definitely, and I think he's more able to anticipate now that being down 3-0 is more of a problem. When he was at 2-2, maybe 3-0 is not such a big deal, and by the time, I mean, if he lets it get to 5-0 or 6-0 now, the point of calling a timeout almost becomes lost because there's so much ground to cover. So he'll want to put a halt to this run as early as he possibly can going into this set, because if Kanak gets away from him here, it's going to be the end of the match for Kai Zhang.
Of course, we're in the round of 32, and tomorrow we'll head into the round of 16. Ultimately, we'll whittle it down to 2 players who will show down at the Foundry here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Right now we're in the Las Vegas Convention Center, but we're going to move across the street just a ways for what is a spectacular venue to host the final matches, the final table for the men's singles and the women's singles as well. And coverage will continue all week long.
Oh, and he clips the edge.
Boy, and for Kai Zhang, you watched his shoulders drop on a human being, something like that, because he really had Zhang on the run on that play.
Absolutely, and when you serve long and fast and get your opponent to return it in that way, then you probably feel like you're almost 100% guaranteed to win the point. And a very heavy, slow opening from Kanak. 5-0 up now. Not a bad place to be. The first half of the last two games, Kanak has been incredibly dominant. And both players getting into these short exchanges again. Kai being the player to try and initiate, but pop the ball long, and it's 6-0 again. The timeout has not slowed down Kanak.
Now, Kai Zhang has been able to battle his way back now in the last two games when he was in a similar position. Let's see if he can do it again here with his back to the wall in game 6. It starts well. Good aggressive play there by Kai Zhang. He had Ja backed well off the table, and although he returned a couple of them, you had the feeling on that point that Zhang was going to be able to finish him, and he did.
And a missed half-long opening there from Kanak.
Those half-long shots, boy, I tell you, they look like they should be simple, but they are so difficult just because of the way the ball is landing over the edge of the table. Very difficult ball to strike.
Yeah, a lot of the time the difficulty comes in getting the trajectory right. You want to be able to keep the ball low to the net, but at the same time, you're usually picking the ball up later, which means you have to push the trajectory higher. So there's a lot of difficulty in keeping the right racket angle and how much weight transfer you put into the ball so that you can find that right balance of arcing the ball over the net but keeping it low at the same time.
Big point for Zhang. Pushes the score to 7-3 for him. The serve will shift over to Kai Zhang, but I thought we were repeating the same pattern we've seen in the last couple of games where Zhang jumps out to a huge lead and then Zhang battles his way back.
And a miss serve.
Not the time when you want that.
Yeah, really not the time for it.
The push return that time by Ja floats long. So now it's 8-4 here in game 6. Kanak Ja, reigning national champion, trying to battle his way here into the U.S. Open. This, of course, is not an event that he has won. This is not an easy event to win. Very talented international players are here in Las Vegas this week.
And a good effort there from Kai Zhang, not choosing to push that ball long, which he has on a number of occasions to give Kanak the opening. But Kanak picks it up, drives the next ball forward.
And now we're at match point. 6 of them for Kanak Ja. Kai Zhang has just not been able to continue the early match magic that he had going on, but he does have the serve here. And that does it. Kanak Ja is going to advance to the round of 16 with an 11-4 win here in game 6, as he has back-to-back 11-4 wins in 5 and 6. He went 11-5, 5-11, 7-11 then 11-7, 11-4, and 11-4. Kind of a dominant finish, particularly Matt Hetherington, in the early stages of each of those last 3 games won by Kanak. He was down 2-1 in games at that point, but in each of those games he built an early lead, which he was able to hold on to.
Yeah, and that made a really big difference for him. You know, I mean, when you come out fresh in a game, and Kai Zhang, of course, also coming back after having lost a game and then a couple of games, it's very, very overwhelming when you're playing a close match to have your opponent come out and just really turn it up and dominate the first half of a game. There's a lot of advantages in terms of the balance of confidence between the two players. So getting your foot in the door and getting off the blocks early in a game can really help shift the balance of control in the match. And yeah, I think that's reflected in the scoreline really well. As you said, the last 3 games, Kanak really got off to a flyer in each of those games and was able to convert them at the end. But yeah, a great match played by both players. I think Kai Zhang was probably a lot more formidable in the first 3 games. The last 3 games, we definitely saw this change up with Kanak of a lot more variation and changing in position. Not just from moving, it's not about just moving a player from left to right, but having the ability to move that player in and out from the table as well. It just adds so many more dimensions and difficulties for your opponent. So a great adjustment from Kanak and a really good win for him. Yeah, fantastic match.
All right, we're off and running in the U.S. Open. We're down to the round of 16 now, and one of those guys is Kanak. We'll get that going tomorrow. I hope you'll join us for more of the coverage that we have here from the Las Vegas Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada at the 2017 U.S. Open. I want to thank everybody associated with the broadcast, including the great crew for Triode Media, along with producer Jason Kirshner and David Del Vecchio. Thank you very much, guys, for all your help. More coverage coming up tomorrow and through the week. Stick with us. The U.S. Open